diverse needs of students, and I feel like changing your environment and giving the students opportunities for inquiry and us kind of backing up and letting the students find the knowledge is really important to WISL.
I like in table groups because we get to, there's 5 brains working at once. So
it wasn't until my son entered a classroom that was student-led, student-driven, and certainly student-centered in my mind, did I notice a dramatic change in his level of stimulation. He was highly stimulated, highly engaged, driven, free to choose the method which was of most interest to him. And for all of these reasons, quite simply, he excelled both behaviorally and academically.
The kids are on task, they're excited about their learning, they're collaborating.
When students were asked to reflect on their personalized learning environment, one student said they preferred this style of learning because they did not like listening to the teacher stand in front of the room going blah blah blah.
Because we don't have to work individually, so when we have something that we need to, if we can't figure out, we can ask our group members, and it's fun because we get to all work together in projects instead of doing it.
A couple of the ways that the SOL environment benefits my son is that they do a lot of group and collaborative work, which he really enjoys, and it's also a really good real-world skill that that students and people need.
To introduce my new science unit on magnets, I just brought out a tub of magnets, I set it down and let the kids test the magnets on everything. We spent an entire hour. They were going to each other saying, "Did you know this is magnetic? Did you know this isn't?" It was
And in my classroom, I have created a variety of different learning spaces. Once I show the students all the different spaces that they can go to learn at, and they're not restricted to sitting in their desks anymore, they then are independent enough to go and choose their learning spaces which work best for them.
I saw a big difference in the classrooms that were more traditional versus an inquiry classroom. Students seemed to be more excited. They seemed to be more engaged in what they were doing, and they seemed to really understand what they were learning and were able to apply what they had learned.
In my experience as a parent of a child who was part of this classroom, I felt that through this method he was able to have a better understanding of what was of interest to him, he was able to explore his own methods of learning, and with this exploration became a better development and more engagement into the process of learning.
I like learning best in the reading corner because it's closed off and I can do my work in private.
There's a lot of self-directed learning. The children ask questions about what they're interested in, and they're able to choose and direct where their research will go. And I find that he's a lot more engaged in the content area subjects because he's able to determine and direct where his research will go.
I started to feel that when I was up in front of the classroom teaching that my students were not as engaged.
Destination. This whole process allows the child more engagement in their own learning.
Changing my learning environment has been the best thing I've done for my learning and for the children's engagement. I strongly feel that that environment sets the tone for myself and the children, and if I'm not comfortable, then they can't be comfortable either.
Classroom that the students are a lot more engaged. They're actually wanting to learn, and they're choosing what they want to learn, so it lets them go outside of the box as opposed to being confined by what the outcome says.
I also think this process allows some acceptance and tolerance of children's differences, differences in how they learn particularly, and also it goes a little deeper than that because I believe in recognizing differences in how a child learns, we're also teaching children to recognize differences in each other and accepting the differences and tolerating the differences. Not everybody learns the same way.
My students prefer to work in the different areas within my classroom rather than working at their desks.
I like working in a group because if I get stuck, I can ask someone to help me.